I'm trying to film a review for this damn Mitchells versus Machines movie, and a cat out in my front yard decided to meow as loud as humanly possible. I can't get a moment of peace. Like, of all the things that happen while you're trying to film something, you don't expect a fucking cat to just run around your front yard and go, meow. So irritating. The newest Netflix animated film, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, co-produced by Sony Pictures. There's a combination made in hell. So, I know this movie came out a week ago, but as you can clearly tell, I'm a bit behind in my reviews. I'm still trying to I'm going to do an Army of the Dead review soon, even though I really don't want to watch that movie. It's a Zack Snyder movie, and I'm never want to watch those movies, so I decided to go with the easy route first, and go with The Mitchells vs. the Machines, as this was garnering very, very positive reviews. I think it's at like 97 on the Tomato Meter, and it's like a 7.8 on IMDb. When that doesn't sound impressive, but considering the highest, like the Avengers Endgame is at like an 8.5, and that's the third highest comic book film, and those usually garner great reviews. That shows you that's actually a really good score for IMDb. So, and I didn't know what to expect from this movie. I watched both of the trailers, just like an hour before watching the film, because I had no idea what it was about. I didn't watch any reviews or look at any reviews, other than, of course, the scores that they had on the sites, but I didn't, like, look at any of the actual reviews. And one thing that I did find interesting was the very first trailer that was released about a year ago, or over a year ago, had the song High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. And I thought that was really weird, because that came out a while ago, and that wouldn't be relevant for coming out for 2021 film. But when the trailer ended, I understood why, because the original release date was October 23rd, 2020. So that song would have been a little more relevant back when that first trailer came out. So this was yet another victim of all these movies where the release dates got pushed. But this one didn't get near as much of the shaft as most of these movies did. For instance, Black Widow was pushed back almost a year and a half. Eternals was pushed back a full year. All the Marvel films were pushed back. And this one just got pushed back, October, about 7 months, and didn't move from that spot. So, Netflix has this really weird thing where they don't announce release dates for their films until a trailer is released, and that only happens about 2 months before a movie is released. And I think that's a really, really stupid strategy. Because most of these Netflix films, like especially last year, they just kind of popped up randomly, and I just decided to watch it. And that's kind of what happened with this. This just kind of randomly popped up, and after about a week or so, I'm like, I'll watch it. Because why not? So, okay, enough bullshit. Let's actually get into the movie. The movie centers around a family known as the Mitchells. And they go on this cross-country road trip to drop the daughter off to college, but in the middle of the road trip, some jackass who runs this corporation, I don't even see much of a jackass, but he's kind of pretentious, played by Eric Andre, and who's actually probably who's one of the better voice actors in this movie, and I'll get to the voice actors later, but he creates these robots, and he says they're definitely not going to turn evil. And they turn evil about 5 seconds later. Didn't even give time to make a stupid joke in between that before they ended up turning evil. And they do explain why they turned evil. They didn't just randomly turn evil. They had a different protocol given to them. And it takes you all of 3 seconds when they say, we've been given new orders. By who? You immediately know who it is. I think he was even given away in the trailers. I don't remember. And the robots, of course, take over the planet and abduct everybody in the world except for the Mitchells. In a really contrived and stupid way. So, and it's up to the Mitchells to go after the all of these robots and up to their base in Silicon Valley and save everybody who's been abducted and who are going to be launched into space, and they are going to create a new world without humans. So this plot is nothing new. This kind of apocalyptic plot or something taking over the world and getting rid of humans so they can build a world without humans. Hell, Avengers Age of Ultron did this plot. And that movie was really good. So I don't have a problem with this plot if it's done well and if it's given something unique. And the thing that's most unique about this film is the unique family. Although there is one grievance I have about the family, is that they seem to be completely ripped from The Incredibles. And this is especially apparent with the father, this bigger guy who used to be muscular and he's a little fatter now. They even make a few fat jokes. And the youngest son, who looks like Dash, and even with the blonde hair. So, and then there's, of course, a teenage daughter, and then there's the mother. So, you can tell these characters were inspired by The Incredible. I mean, there was a real family that these people are apparently based on, but the designs of these people were purely based on The Incredibles. You can tell. And I even saw there was a channel somewhere that did a battle between Mitchell vs. Machines and Incredibles, and that's not even a fight. Incredibles wins, but that's not the point. So, but the family is very unique, and I like that they all have their own distinct personality. Although one problem I do have is that the son is clearly voiced by someone who's in his 20s, and he's supposed to be like 10. This kid does not sound like a kid. He sounds older than me. You remember the kid from Gravity Falls? I think it's actually the same actor, if I'm not mistaken. But this guy, he sounds like Dipper, because he's got the cracking voice, even though this kid's not old enough for puberty yet. I think Dipper was supposed to be like 13 or 14, and yeah, that's about the appropriate age. This kid's like 10, so even that. So this doesn't work, and it doesn't even have the cracking voice to it. He just sounds like he's 30. It's like Chicken Little. He's like 12 years old and voiced by a 30-year-old. So that makes something. The voice acting was fine, but why? And speaking of the voice acting, let's get into that. But one of the only names I recognized in this was Maya Rudolph, who plays the mother, and she does actually very well, which is good because I actually like Maya Rudolph, and I've seen her in nothing but shit recently. I'm not a fan of SNL. At all. I fucking hate it. She was in Christmas Story Live, which is one of the worst Christmas things ever created. And I think she was in the new Ghostbusters movie. The shitty one with, she was. And she was also in the Emoji Movie. Not a great track record. But this is an actress who I know can be funny, and she actually is here. She plays the mother very well. A lot of the voice actors I didn't really notice, but one thing I have to get right now, Chrissy Teigen is in this, and she can go fuck herself. And thank God she's terrible in this too, so I don't have to give any compliments. She can go, and you probably all know what I'm talking about at this point, and if you don't know, Google it. Because I'm not going to get into it here, but fuck her. She sucks, and appropriately, her character is extremely pretentious. Fitting casting, but she should never be working again. And thankfully, I'm not going to get into it. Google it if you don't know. And if you don't know, are you living under a rock? But, I can't get into it. Another actor in this I don't like, Conan O'Brien, who you probably know is the host of that horrible talk show, Conan. He's not funny. Here, he's given decent dialogue, and ironically, also perfect casting here, he's given the role of emotionless robots. Fitting casting. But the rest of the voice actors do their job fine. They do actually very well. And that helps with the writing is actually pretty good. Sony Pictures Animation does not have the best track record. Well, they have an okay track record. It's kind of a mixed bag. This movie is kind of halfway in between a masterpiece like Into the Spider-Verse and a complete garbage fire like the Emoji Movie or the Hotel Transylvania films. And there's a fourth one coming out. Jesus Christ. But at least that one won't have Adam Sandler, so maybe it'll be better. But I'm not going to get here. I probably won't even watch that regardless. But Sony Pictures Animation, especially, and Netflix Animation, doesn't have a good track record either. I mean, it garners usually mixed reviews when it comes to their animated films, but good lord, I hate their animated films. Remember Animal Crackers last year? That was on my worst. That was on my worst list of last year. And recently they had Secret Magic Control Agency, which was a dumb as hell film. And there was one. There was another one in there somewhere, but this is better than both of those. This is better than all the other Netflix animated films I've seen. This is better than most of the Netflix films I've seen, because it seems like Netflix just makes movies when they're... I saw someone in the comments of my Secret Magic Control Agency video say that I think Netflix just makes films when they're bored. That's fitting, because most Netflix films suck. I don't know how else to put it. Their shows are usually pretty good. I like Stranger Things. I like the Marvel Netflix... I like most of the Marvel Netflix stuff. I didn't like Luke Cage or Iron Fist. But the shows like Daredevil are great. Stranger Things is pretty good, even though it's been kind of declining. Season 2 and 3 weren't that great. And I thought the first season of Jessica Jones was pretty good. So, I think Netflix can do some great things in the television department. Their movies don't have a good track record. Last year, there were at least a few movies that were on my worst list that were Netflix films. And there were a lot of others. Like, the best Netflix films were mediocre at best. I don't think I've ever seen a legitimately great Netflix film. If I have, I'll put some down in text. But that's not... But I'm getting off track. The animation style is actually really good. Sony Pictures can put in some good animation and can make it look good if they try. Here they try and it looks really good, even though I do have a problem with some of the designs. For instance, this is what the robots look like. These are basically just stormtroopers if you combine the Max Steel armor with the robots from Total Recall, the remake. Yeah, that's what these look like. They're not very interesting designs, and I said they have about as much intelligence as a stormtrooper. And even stormtroopers can still hit their target. Actually, you know what? These hit their targets more than stormtroopers, so... So, they're not as dumb as the stormtroopers in Mandalorian. Those stormtroopers are bumbling buffoons. But they're way less competent than the ones in, say, the opening of the original film, or the opening of Force Awakens, where they're actually portrayed as competent. But they're not as stupid as the sequel trilogy or the Mandalorian's portrayal of stormtroopers, where they're bumbling idiots. And speaking of bumbling idiots... I do actually, I know I talked about the characters already, but I do like the characters of the Mitchells, because they all have a distinct personality. None of the characters kind of bleed together. I've seen plenty of films about families like this, where all the characters' personalities just kind of bleed together, and they don't really have that much distinct personality. So they end up just coming off as, like, one character just kind of split into 4 or 5. Here, they all have a distinct personality, and they all have their different motives that are going on. The daughter just wants to get to college. She wants really nothing to do with her father anymore. His father just wants to reconnect with his daughter. The mother wants the father and daughter to reconnect, and so does the son. And I do like that when they always kind of talk about their problems, like the two sides, the father and daughter always talk about. The mother's always with the father, and the brother's always with the daughter. So I really like how that's done, because it doesn't kind of just jumble everything into one giant mess. Had the son had to try to talk to the father, and the mother tried to talk to the daughter, I think it would have gotten all confused, and all the conversations would have just gotten repetitive. And so I like all the dialogue scenes in this. This is produced, not written, but produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who wrote Into the Spider-Verse, which I still maintain is one of the best Spider-Man films, just below Amazing Spider-Man. But they also wrote the Lego Movie. People really like the Lego movies. I don't. Other than the Ninjago one. For some reason, I like that. But whatever. So, and they were originally set to direct Solo, but they got booted off the project because Kathleen Kennedy is an asshole. So yeah, this movie is not bad at any stretch, and it sounds like I'm singing glowing praise about this film, and then there are other times where I sound like I'm shitting on it. Because that's the perfect way to describe this film. It's a mixed bag, but I'd say it's actually very good. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially for your kids. This isn't like Secret Magic Control Agency, where I swear, if I showed that if I showed that to my younger brother, I have a feeling he'd be bored out of his goddamn mind. Or if I showed him Animal Crackers, Animal Crackers was like taking an LSD trip most of the time, because I was just kind of staring at it, just dead. So I don't have, Animal Crackers broke me, and Secret Magic Control Agency was just lame. I still can't recall what the other animated film was. Like, I had it in text earlier, but if there was one, I don't think there is, but... So, yeah, I would say this movie is definitely worth a watch. Is it a flawless masterpiece? Like I said, no. It does have some issues that I don't think can be ignored. But this isn't a steaming pile of garbage like Netflix usually puts out. I do remember that I gave Animal Crackers an F. And then I would have given something like Into the Spider-Verse an A minus-ish, I guess. So I would say this is kind of somewhere dead in between, because that was back when I did my grading. Oh, Over the Moon was the other one. Yeah, that one I just thought was mediocre at best. So it's better than all three of those films. And I think this is definitely worth the watch. I couldn't recommend the other ones, like, at all, unless you have, like, much younger kids that can be entertained by goddamn anything. So... yeah, I would say give this one a watch. I have a feeling adults will enjoy it, probably too. The reviews certainly show that adults are enjoying this. Although, again, adults are also enjoying Army of the Dead, and that looks like a piece of shit. So, yeah, that's all I've got for the Mitchells vs. the Machines. This is actually a really hard movie to score. I just could not figure out what kind of score this movie should have, and I think I finally figured it out. Because this is like a huge mixed bag. It's kind of like split in the middle. But most of the good stuff really do outshine the bad. And the climax is actually very fun, and it has a lot of good running jokes, but even some of them are just kind of lame. And then it has some good action to it, but the climax just seemed to go on for goddamn ever. I swear, the last 45 minutes of this film is the climax. It's a 45-minute climax, and I think it could have been trimmed down. So that's all I've got for the Mitchells vs. the Machines. I'm going to give this movie a 3.4 out of 5. That seems fair. 3.4 out of 5. Not a masterpiece, but not bad by any means. I certainly recommend giving it a watch. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button for more reviews like this, and comment down below, what do you think of Mitchells vs. the Machines? Did you think this was a masterpiece? Did you think this was a garbage fire? Or do you think this was somewhere in between? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.